Anthony Bourdain traveled farther than almost anyone else on Earth. He walked through crowded markets and places most tourists would never visit. He shared meals with strangers who had almost nothing. He crossed deserts, mountains, war zones, remote villages. He tasted thousands of dishes, met thousands of people, collected more stories than most of us could experience in 10 lifetimes. From the outside, it looked like he had found everything: adventure, freedom, success, purpose. So why did it always seem like he was still searching? Not for another country, not for another meal, for something much harder to find. Because if you look closely, Anthony Bourdain wasn't traveling around the world to discover new places. He was trying to answer a question that had followed him his entire life. A question most people never noticed, and perhaps one that none of us can ever fully answer. Stay with us until the very end, because the answer has almost nothing to do with food, and everything to do with what it means to be human. Long before television cameras followed him across the globe, Anthony was just another young man growing up in New Jersey. Curious, restless, always looking beyond the horizon. He wasn't fascinated by luxury. He wasn't dreaming about fame. He wanted something different. He wanted to understand people, even as a teenager. He found himself drawn toward places that felt real, messy, imperfect, alive. He often felt like an outsider, someone observing the world rather than fully belonging to it. Perhaps that's why he became such a careful listener, because when you don't feel like you fit in, you learn to pay attention. Food entered his life almost by accident, but once it did, everything changed. A kitchen isn't glamorous. It's loud, hot, chaotic, demanding. Yet Anthony loved it, because behind every meal, there was a person, a family, a history, a culture. Most chefs wanted to create perfect dishes. Anthony wanted something else. He wanted stories. He just didn't know it yet. Most people believe Anthony Bourdain became a chef because he loved food. That isn't entirely true. Food was only the doorway. What fascinated him was everything surrounding it. The conversations, the traditions, the memories passed from one generation to the next. A meal could reveal more about a person than an interview ever could. In the kitchen, everyone was equal. The dishwasher, the line cook, the head chef. Nobody cared where you came from, only whether you showed up, only whether you worked. Anthony loved that honesty. There were no masks, no polished speeches, no carefully crafted public image, just people trying to survive another service. The pressure was relentless. The hours were brutal. The pay was often terrible. Yet somehow, he felt more alive there than anywhere else. Years later, he would write openly about the chaos of restaurant life, the addiction, the exhaustion, the mistakes. He never tried to make himself look like a hero. If anything, he exposed his own flaws before anyone else could. That honesty shocked readers. People weren't used to public figures admitting they were broken, but Anthony understood something most celebrities never do. People connect with truth, not perfection. Without realizing it, he was preparing for something much bigger than the kitchen. Then something happened that nobody expected, including Anthony himself. In 2000, he published a book called Kitchen Confidential. He thought it would simply tell the truth about restaurant life. Instead, it exploded. Overnight, the anonymous chef became a best-selling author. Suddenly, television producers wanted him. Publishers called. The media couldn't get enough. Anthony had spent years hiding behind a kitchen door. Now the whole world wanted to know him. For many people, this would have been the destination. Fame, recognition, financial success, everything they had dreamed of. But Anthony wasn't interested in becoming famous. In fact, the more famous he became, the less interested he seemed in celebrity itself. Because success had created a new question. If I can go anywhere in the world, where should I go? Most television networks had an obvious answer. The most beautiful places, luxury hotels, expensive restaurants, perfect beaches. Anthony chose the exact opposite. He wanted places most cameras ignored, neighborhoods tourists avoided, families who had never imagined their dinner table might appear on television. He wasn't searching for luxury, he was searching for truth, and that decision would completely change travel television forever. This is where Anthony Bourdain became different from everyone else. Most travel shows asked, "Where can you eat the best food?" Anthony asked something far more interesting. "Who is willing to share a meal with me?" That single question changed everything. He sat on tiny plastic stools in crowded street markets. He accepted invitations into ordinary homes. He drank tea with shepherds, shared noodles with taxi drivers, ate bread with refugees, cooked beside grandmothers who had never left their villages. Again and again, the same thing happened. The meal became almost irrelevant. The conversation became unforgettable. Anthony slowly discovered something beautiful. People who spoke different languages, prayed to different gods, lived on opposite sides of the planet, could still understand each other around a table. Food wasn't ending conflict, but it was creating connection, and perhaps connection was what Anthony had been searching for all along. Not recipes, not restaurants, not Michelin stars. People, real people, with real stories. For millions of viewers, watching Anthony Bourdain no longer felt like watching a cooking show. It felt like traveling with a friend who reminded us that humanity often looks very different, yet somehow feels exactly the same. The more Anthony Bourdain traveled, the more people believed he had discovered the secret to life. His job looked like a dream. Every week, a different country, a different culture, a different adventure. Millions of viewers watched with envy. Who wouldn't? He had escaped the office, the routine, the ordinary. He seemed completely free. But if you listen carefully, Anthony rarely spoke about happiness. He spoke about curiosity, about discomfort, about staying open to the unexpected. He often admitted that the greatest lessons came from places where he felt out of place, where he couldn't speak the language, where nobody knew his name, where he was forced to listen instead of talk. That was Anthony's greatest gift. He never arrived pretending to have answers. He arrived with questions. And perhaps that's why people trusted him. He didn't travel to teach the world. He traveled because the world kept teaching him. Every destination changed him a little. Every conversation challenged another assumption. Every shared meal reminded him that dignity has nothing to do with wealth. One evening, after spending hours talking with people who owned almost nothing, Anthony quietly reflected on something remarkable. He had met some of the richest people in the world, and some of the happiest. They were almost never the same people. That realization stayed with him, and once you begin to see the world that way, it's impossible to look at success in the same way again. People often remember Anthony Bourdain because he visited extraordinary places. But that's not what made him extraordinary. It was the way he looked at people. He never asked, "Who is important?" He asked, "Who has a story worth hearing?" To Anthony, the fisherman repairing his net at sunrise deserved the same respect as a world leader. The grandmother cooking over a small fire deserved the same attention as a Michelin-starred chef. The street vendor working 12 hours a day deserved the same curiosity as a celebrity. He had an unusual ability. He made ordinary people feel extraordinary, not because he praised them, because he listened, really listened. In a world obsessed with talking, Anthony became famous for paying attention. That may sound simple, but it changed the way millions of viewers saw the world. After watching him, people didn't just want to travel, they wanted to understand, to slow down, to sit at tables they would normally walk past, to hear stories they would otherwise never notice. Perhaps that was Anthony's greatest contribution. He didn't teach us where to eat. He taught us how to see people. And once you learn to see people differently, you never travel the same way again. There is one question that quietly follows Anthony Bourdain's entire life. A question that has no easy answer. Was he searching for something? Or was he trying to outrun something? Perhaps both. Because the more openly Anthony spoke about his own struggles, the more people realized that curiosity doesn't erase pain. Adventure doesn't silence every fear. Success doesn't automatically bring peace. He never pretended otherwise. That honesty became one of the reasons millions connected with him. He wasn't selling perfection. He was documenting humanity, including his own. He showed us crowded streets filled with laughter. But he also reminded us that every human being carries invisible battles. Sometimes, even the people who make us smile are fighting wars we cannot see. Maybe that's why Anthony never judged anyone. He knew how complicated people really are, how fragile, how beautifully imperfect. He wasn't looking for flawless cultures. He wasn't looking for perfect meals. He wasn't even looking for perfect people. He was looking for something much rarer, authenticity. And every time he found it, he reminded us that we could find it too. Let's go back to the question that began this journey. What was Anthony Bourdain searching for? At first, the answer seemed obvious. Another country, another culture, another unforgettable meal, another passport stamp. but after following him across 6 continents, listening to thousands of conversations, watching him sit at countless tables, a different answer begins to emerge. Anthony wasn't searching for places, he was searching for moments. The moment when strangers stopped being strangers. The moment when fear gave way to curiosity. The moment when a shared meal erased every difference between two people. He understood something extraordinary. Food was never the destination. It was the invitation. An invitation to sit down, to listen, to understand, to remember that before we belong to different countries, different religions, different cultures, we all belong to the same human story. That was Anthony's gift, not showing us where to travel, showing us how to arrive, open, curious, without judgment. And maybe that's why millions of people felt they knew him, because he never stood above the people he met. He always sat beside them. In 2018, the world received heartbreaking news. Anthony Bourdain had died. The headlines appeared everywhere. Many people were shocked, others were confused. How could someone who had seen so much beauty, who had inspired so many people, still carry so much pain? The truth is, we may never fully know. And perhaps we don't need to, because reducing Anthony's life to its final chapter would mean missing everything that came before it. The thousands of conversations, the friendships, the cultures he helped us appreciate, the people who finally felt seen because someone cared enough to listen to their story. Anthony often reminded us that the world is far more complicated than we like to believe. People are complicated. Life is complicated. Joy and pain can exist at the very same table. Sometimes, inside the very same person. That isn't weakness. It's part of being human. Perhaps the greatest tribute we can offer Anthony Bourdain isn't to remember how his journey ended. It's to remember how he encouraged us to live. Travel with humility. Eat with gratitude. Listen without prejudice. Stay curious, because curiosity creates understanding, and understanding creates compassion. The journey may have ended for Anthony, but the conversations he started continue every single day. The world will always remember Anthony Bourdain as a chef, a writer, a traveler, a television icon. But beyond the spotlight, there was something even more remarkable. A man who spent his entire life reminding us that every human being has a story worth hearing. He taught us that the best meal isn't always served in the most famous restaurant. Sometimes, it's shared on a plastic chair beside someone whose name history will never remember. He taught us that curiosity is stronger than fear, that listening is more powerful than speaking, and that the greatest adventures rarely happen because of where we go. They happen because of the people we choose to meet. Maybe that's what Anthony had been searching for all along, not the perfect destination, but proof that humanity is still capable of connecting. One conversation, one meal, one act of genuine curiosity at a time. If this story changed the way you see Anthony Bourdain, tell us in the comments. What's the most meaningful conversation you've ever had with a complete stranger? We read every comment, and many of your stories inspire future documentaries. And if you enjoy discovering the hidden side of extraordinary people, subscribe to See Beyond the Spotlight. Every week, we uncover the untold human stories behind the world's most remarkable lives. Because sometimes, the most important journeys are the ones that lead us to understand each other.